On today's episode of Phinside The NFL, we will cover Mike McDaniel's presser with the media, where he discussed how he's seen the growth from Tua and his work with 3D QB this offseason. Also, man, we've got an exclusive look at Tua during his holdout that y'all are going to want to see today. Also, man, we got a ton to cover as day 4 of OTAs happened. So we'll also ask the question, do the Miami Dolphins have the best running back room in the NFL? Do me the favor, smash the like button, subscribe if you're new, and let's get into this.
Loses the football. Touchdown! Got it!
You have got to be kidding me.
Jaylen Waddle has a Dolphin touchdown. And he will score! Nico field down the near side, man open. Touchdown!
The run from Tua Tagovailoa.
Touchdown!
He's going deep. It's not over the touchdown again. Beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan. Let's go!
What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason, and we are back here for another one. Do me the favor as you come in, please smash that like button. Subscribe if you are new, as we are creeping up on 16K. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten about the 15K giveaway. I've got a few ideas because I want to give away a couple things, not just one thing. So that announcement will be coming pretty soon as I finalize that. Today, we got a ton to talk about. Tua Tagovailoa, his growth with 3D QB was discussed today, on display today. We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about the notion that's been put out there by a beat writer that will Tua Tagovailoa be motivated to be the best version of himself if an extension is not in place. Plus, we will talk about the Miami Dolphins running back room because PFF came out with some rankings, and it begs the question if the Miami Dolphins have the best running back room in the NFL right now. So we'll discuss that. A ton to go over, but let's start off with this. Because I don't know if you guys saw it, but it happened when... It happened not too long ago. Within the last hour, Nico Collins got an extension from the Houston Texans. All right? We're talking about 3 years, $72.75 million with a max value of $75 million and $52 million of that guaranteed. So we're talking about $24 million annual average per year extension with a max value of being about $25 million per year and $52 million of that guaranteed. Are you kidding me right now? Like, Jaylen Waddle just must be sitting back going, cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. I mean, I get you want to get Tua done. I get that. But listen, I'm going to say it. You better pivot to Waddle before you pivot to Holland. That safety market is not exploding. That safety market, Justin Simmons can't even get a job right now. Quick reminder, on Saturday, this weekend, all that money clears up for us. So hopefully we hear something next week or this weekend. Shout out to Paulie King. He just gifted 5 Inside the NFL memberships. Stepping in for Brad Martin. I haven't seen Brad Martin in a minute. I hope Brad Martin's doing good. Pro Special, Robert Thomason, Chuck Fins up, Marlboro Man, and No Name Fins were all gifted memberships from that. So shout out to Paulie King for spreading the love in the community. Appreciate you, sir. But back to Waddle here for a sec. I mean, what are we waiting on? I get you're waiting on Tua, but my God, you cannot let Tua's extension stop you from getting ahead of Waddle as this market continues to just drive up and drive up and drive up. I mean, we're just watching everyone and their mother and their grandmother get extended from that class except Waddle. And, I mean, it goes without saying, shout out to Knight. He just gifted a membership, and Scotty got that. That goes without saying this. If Nico Collins is getting a $24 million annual average salary, what the hell do you think Jaylen Waddle's worth? What do you think Jaylen Waddle's worth? Do that math. Do that math. Like, my God. That is some... I mean, let's be honest here, right? Nico Collins, when you do the math, you know, Jaylen Waddle has over 2,300 yards over the last 2 seasons, right? He has 12 touchdowns, right? He's got the highest, second highest yards per reception average over the last few years, 16.1. It's tied to Amari Cooper, only second to George Pickens. But here's the thing. Nico Collins, my friends, we're talking about a guy who's not even in the top 25 in yards over the last 2 years. Not even in the top 25 over in yards. And he's getting that kind of money. I mean, this is just cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching for Jaylen Waddle. He's just sitting back. You remember that Seinfeld episode where Jerry's sitting back smoking the cigar and Elaine's just throwing the money down on the table because she keeps breaking their bet about putty? That's Jaylen Waddle right now watching this happen. I mean, even Nico Collins is getting extended before Jaylen Waddle. Man. Oh, I mean, listen, here's where I'm at. You know, I don't think... You got it. I'm going to keep saying this until I'm blue in the face or until it happens. You better get this done before Jamar Chase gets extended. You better get this done before Jamar Chase gets extended, or this is going to be bad news. You might be able to get Jaylen Waddle for 28 to 30 right now. Jamar Chase gets extended and resets the market. There ain't no way you're getting him for less than 30. I really think it's hard right now. I really think it's hard right now to get him under 30. Hopefully he can take it. I told all y'all they were coming for Tyreek Hill's annual average. And sure enough, A.J. Brown beat it and Amon-Ra St. Brown beat it. So 2 extensions have already surpassed Tyreek Hill's money. Where do you think Jamar Chase is coming from? And another interesting rumor, I don't know if you guys heard this rumor. Let me know if you did in the chat. There's word coming out of Minnesota. Check this one out. This should tell you no one's safe. There's word coming out of Minnesota that they were trying to trade up and get Malik Neighbors. And if they had been able to move up and get Malik Neighbors, they were going to trade Justin Jefferson. That's crazy. That is nuts that Justin Jefferson was potentially on the block if they got up and got Malik Neighbors. That's nuts. Talk about settling. Then you draft JJ McCarthy. Oh, talk about settling. Drake May signed his contract today. But yeah, there was word coming out just recently in the last couple of days that the Minnesota Vikings were trying to trade up and get Malik Neighbors, and if they were, Justin Jefferson was going to be shopped. That tells you how much they don't even want to pay this guy. Because the word is Justin Jefferson is looking and wants to become the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL. That's nuts. That instead of paying the best receiver in the NFL, they were looking to move off of him potentially. Jason's got it right. Just keep him out of Buffalo. I agree. I mean, they struck gold with Jordan Addison, as a number 2. Why would you go get another rookie? I don't know, man. That's bad. That tells you how in are they on J.J. McCarthy. This guy's got 1 or 2 years to get it done, or they'll move off of him. That's already what it feels like. You know what I mean? Smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new. I'm looking for a comment I saw earlier because it's funny that I saw it. There you go, DF. Is Larry L still around? Man, it's funny you asking that, DF. I was literally wondering that a couple days ago. Shout out to Larry L wherever he's at, bro. I hope you're doing good. I know YouTube took down his channel, right? So I know that's where he's at. That's what was the last I had heard of the whole thing. So, shout out to Larry L. I haven't heard from him in a minute. I hope you're doing good, bro, wherever you are. You know what I mean? It's the tan. The tan's coming through, bro. It's the tan. The tan's coming through. So, man, shout out to Larry, wherever he's at, man. Hope you're doing good, bro. Richard says that would be risky, but they did it before with Diggs to Jefferson. But I think we can both agree that Jefferson is a different animal than Stephon Diggs was. Stephon Diggs was known for his great catch radius, his wide catch radius, great route running ability and stuff, but Justin Jefferson is the best receiver in the NFL right now. I don't think you could ever... Was there ever a point where we said Stephon Diggs is the best receiver in the NFL? I wouldn't say so. You know what I mean? I wouldn't say that. So, man, all I know is we got money clearing up this weekend. And I know someone in the chat said, well, maybe, I got a feeling. There you go. I got a feeling like Chris Greer's waiting for June 1st. Well, the thing is with that, that $18.5 million doesn't impact a future extension for Waddle or Tua. So, I mean, that $18.5 million, unless you're rolling over the whole thing, which I doubt, right? Now, could they be waiting to sign their draft class though? Sure, 110%. But in regard to the extensions, I don't think so. Listen, see, this is what I'm talking about. I cover this, and I love you, D-Hug. Brother, I never said they were looking into Jonathan Allen. What we said was Washington and Miami had trade discussions, and I theorized that Jonathan Allen is on the trade block, and maybe that's a player they asked about. I never said we actually are on record saying we don't know what players or what picks or whatever were being discussed. We just know that trade talks happened between the Commanders and the Dolphins. I suggested Jonathan Allen. I even said that if you go back and watch the clip. So, yeah, I never said that, right? I that was more of a suggestion. So just an FYI. So you know what the deal is. I do not believe Waddle is athletes first. I think I know he signed with like, what are they called? Like GSC Worldwide or something like that, coming out of the draft in 2021. I do not know if he switched up agents, but I haven't heard anything about that. So as far as I know, he's not athletes first. Thank everything. Thank everything holy. And as far as I know, Waddle is with GSC, so he's not athletes first. So there you go. I can hear the collective sigh of relief amongst Dolphin fans. So, all right, let's get into a few things. And I did see Go check it out if you guys haven't had a chance. Waddle's episode on OGs, it came out today. You know, there's a couple interesting things. I mean, he basically said he went to Alabama because of Tua. That's what he basically said. So, and he also said that he believes this team, quote unquote, wholeheartedly can still win a Super Bowl with Tua. He believes that this team is Super Bowl bound with Tua. So, and you know, I can already hear the twisting of the narratives now. So, oh, he has to say that. Man, I don't think y'all understand, and I'm not talking about y'all in the chat. I mean, people are going to say, oh, they have to say that. I don't think people really know how much not only does Waddle believe in Tua, but how close they are. Like, they're pretty close. You know, they hold a lot of similar beliefs, from religion to everyday. That's why, I mean, I pointed this out. Haven't y'all noticed that, yeah, they love Tyreek, but you don't really see Waddle and Tua hanging out with Tyreek, but you hear about them having barbecues and stuff like that all the time. Tua and Waddle are closer than any one of those two are with Tyreek. You can already tell. So, and it's been that way. Waddle truly believes in Tua. So, all right, let's start getting into this though, because I do have a bunch of stuff I want to get over. So let's start off with this morning, and let's start off with three things. I put them together. McDaniel talked about Tua's growth heading into year 3 of this system, weight, and his work with 3D QB over a period of 3 different questions we're going to go over. All right. So I'm going to go over all this stuff. I'll set it up for you guys so y'all know exactly what we're talking about. So, you know, the first question is, he's asked if he's going to be here today and what kind of growth do you expect from Tua in year 3?
You know, that's been a cool process because you have 2 years under your belt together where you know, all you've seen is his game progress. And I think year 3, we really got to, you know, take a step back and assess not just the things that he liked or the things that he looked comfortable with, but what are some things maybe he hasn't looked comfortable with in the past that we can get him some comfort levels with. We've kind of challenged ourselves in how we verbalize stuff, and you know, the bottom line is our connectivity with how we see things and what we're trying to do with every different assignment. That can always get cleaner, and I think it really has. I think there's been some cool things. He will be here today, and you know, in the short amount of time, he had 2 practices last week, and we saw some growth and development within what we're specifically asking him to do. So it's been very exciting because you know, you're at this point we're like, all right, well, let's really push ourselves to challenge this guy, because all he ends up doing is rising to the challenge within what we ask him to do. So I think to expect you know, the same, if not more, growth within your game from each year, I don't think is crazy. I think for us to expect just as much, if not more, from year 2 to year 3 is very safe for our expectations, and I know he feels the same way too. There's a lot of places where we can get our game better, so excited about this opportunity on May 28th.
So now he's asked if you see the difference in him because he's hired a personal quarterback coach.
Deliberate intentionality with anything you do renders like some unexpected consequences that are definitely desirable. I think he,
right here,
without thinking, is, you know, probably generated a little more force on some throws that he's trying to drive.
There you go.
You know, I have actually extensive experience with the coach that he's working with, John Beck. I was a coach in 2011 for the Washington team that he quarterbacked, and have been on a couple teams where he's worked with some of the quarterbacks we've had already. So there's some familiarity with that, which is awesome because with John, he knows what we're trying to do and the direction with or how we ask the quarterback to play. So I think just that connectivity to your game and finding or trying to unearth every single inch and iota of professional development, that in itself, you're headed in the right direction. So I think there's some things that I'll probably see every day, and when you talk to him, I think there's sometimes that he's effortlessly doing some of the things he's used to doing, just not really having to think as much because he's been so deep diving into his trade.
Love it. You know, he talks about deep diving into his trade like that. Now, you know, he was also asked, you know, about him being svelte, right? And he talked about how they weren't really on an off-season weight program last year. It was all about strength, right? You know, he talked about how his strength increased, but he felt like he could have the same amount of strength and kind of reshape his body and be a little lighter on his feet. That's where the weight loss is coming from. And he even dives into how, you know, Tua is being more mindful of his caloric intake and what he's eating and how he's on much more of a strict regimen with his body right now. And he said something really key there about John Beck. And what he said about John Beck, the familiarity, right? John Beck knows what's expected of a quarterback in this offense. That's very, very key for him to say. That gives him basically, you know, that helps him guide a guy like Tua even further in terms of his development and growth. That just, you know, when you know the ins and outs of an offense and what's expected of the quarterback in that offense, it's not like it's a coach you've never worked with or you have no idea about. When you've played in the offense, when you know what is being asked of that quarterback in that offense, I mean, John Beck, you're talking about a guy now who's just going to help him grow. You know, he's going to mentor Tua to an extent because is there really, you know, we already talked about, I've been saying since he got injured that he should have been going to Tom House. I suggested it to Nick Hicks a few years ago, privately in text message, hit up Tom House, all right? You know, I've been saying this for 3 or 4 years. And now that he's there, and he's also working with, the main guy he's working with at Tom House's 3D QP is a guy who, you know, knows this offense like the back of his hands. That is like, you know, I can't stress enough how big of an extra bonus that is. I mean, that's huge. You know, the development will come quicker. You know, his understanding. I mean, how many times did you hear in those 2 questions McDaniel was responding to him saying Tua's not even really thinking. He's more of a reacting right now. He talked about how things are just coming smoother to him and he also talked about how even he in OTAs, you know, the pads aren't even on, and they're noticing more drive on the football. You know? And, you know, it's crazy because I see the joke here, and that's funny. It's funny here. I get it. Beck is a new Bagger Vance. I like that. But, you know, it's funny how Dolphin, and I'm not talking about you, Jason. It's funny how Dolphin fans are just stuck in their own little box. And what I mean by that is they hear the word John Beck and they hear the name John Beck and automatically associate him with the player he was at a BYU. They don't do the research and see that over 25 quarterbacks in the starting quarterbacks in the NFL work with him, right? They automatically just narrow-minded, short-sighted. Oh, he was this quarterback that wasn't good for us, so there's no way he's a good teacher, right? It's kind of crazy to me how, you know, these are the same fans who think this is the first quarterback coach Tua's had when I've shown proof I've shown the visuals, and I've told you he's been working with Wes Carroll since 2021 through Perform from quarterback prep. So it's kind of crazy to me. I'm a guy who's been saying go work with Tom House for 4 years. He finally does. And Dolphin fans who didn't even know who Tom House was until I mentioned him years ago on the Tuesday night panel. Even the people on the Tuesday night panel didn't even know who Tom House was back then, okay? Right? And I credit him with his work that he had done with specifically Drew Brees after his shoulder surgery and said this is who Tua needs to get with. And now that he's actually with it, he's with John Beck and he wasn't a very good quarterback. It's kind of crazy to me. It really is how every time Tua steps up his game, Tua finds a way to elevate himself in the offseason, fans who have no understanding, have done no research, and have no knowledge of the context of the situation automatically write it off, and then we end up seeing the results on the field. It's crazy. It really is, right? Now, for all the people who said Tua was holding out. Oh, we told you he's holding out. Guys, I've got exclusive footage right here of Tua holding out of OTAs today. You won't believe what your eyes. Look at that. Is that a field or is he on the couch? Is he walking on the couch? Is that a helmet on the ground or a bag of Lay's potato chips that he just walked over on his holdout? Look at this. Why is he talking to people while he's holding out? I don't get it. You should be quiet. You should be quiet. What are you doing here? The Tua holding out? What's going on right now? Look at this guy. Is that Talia? Hold on. No. Look at that throw from the couch. Oh, and McDaniel's sitting on the couch right next to him. Look at that. Oh, look at this holdout. Oh, Darrell Bevell talking to him, saying, how's the holdout going? Hey? Alec Ingold out here catching passes from Tua. Look, all the way from his couch. Hey, look at that. Look at this guy. Oh man. How's he? Oh man, he's even throwing pitches from his couch. Look at this guy. Unbelievable. Is this a stunt double? Is this Talia or is this a stunt double? Did Talia become left-handed? I don't know. Jody Fortson catching from the couch potato, the OT holdout. Oh, look at this. Mike White must be holding out with him. And Skylar Thompson too. Raheem's holding out. Look at this. Look at this. Oh, baby. Oh, my God. Tua Tagovailoa, the only guy I know who throws dimes from his couch while he's holding out. Look at that. The guy throws deep dimes from his couch while he's holding out. Can you believe what I'm seeing? No way. I got to say, though, y'all need to go back and watch that clip of him throwing that deep ball. That spiral is coming out a little tighter, man. And I know it's less air. I noticed what McDaniel's saying. More drive, less air. D-hug all day. Look at that. That's a hologram. That's what he said. They got the same company that did the Tupac hologram, and they brought him in to do a Tua hologram for OTAs. Man, I don't know. Someone tell me. Have you guys ever seen a quarterback throwing deep dimes while he's holding out? That's crazy. That's a new one for me. I ain't never seen that. Man, I can't believe he's holding out. What is he doing to us? Man, if he's holding out, then what are Tyreek, Jaylen, Waddle, and OBJ doing who were absent again today? What are they doing if Tua's holding out? Tua out here throwing footballs to Jody Fortson and Eric Izakama and Tajay Washington while the big guns in the wide receiver car, are they holding out? Right? They must be holding out. If Tua's holding out and he's showing up to practice and putting in that much work, Tyreek Hill, Jaylen Waddle, and OBJ must be asking for trades. They must be saying, hey, we're not coming back. We want to be traded. We don't believe, huh? By this logic that Tua's holding out, our top 3 receivers must be asking for trades. That must be where we're at, right? No? Someone explain this to me. I was told This breaking news: Tua Tagovailoa holding out. Well, where's the breaking news? Tyreek Hill, Jaylen, Waddle, and OBJ asking for a trade because they haven't shown up on either day the media's been there. There's been 4 days of OTAs, and the media's been there for 2 sessions. Tua has been at 3 of the 4 OTAs. McDaniel said in his presser today, Tua was at 2 last week. One of them was excused because he had to go golfing for charity. And then he's there today. So other than an excused absence, Tua's been there for every OTA session. What's happening here? Breaking news. I thought he was holding out. Breaking news. People got to clickbait because they can't create content. Breaking news. All right, let's get into some observations from today. So here's from the Sun Sentinel. McDaniel has seen Tua generate more force on throws throughout the offseason. Dolphins could be impressive at Tuesday's OTA. Oh, what? I can't believe he's impressing while he's holding out. That's craziness. Miami Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa is with the team for the first time this offseason in an organized activity session open to the media. Remember, there's only been 2. And the last one was excused for an event. The veteran was impressive in a pair of extended 7-on-7 throwing sessions in Tuesday's OTA, a week after missing one last week to attend the charity golf tournament of his college coach, Nick Saban. Before the day's drills, Coach McDaniel said he noticed Tua is generating more force on throws that he's trying to drive with the new hip twitch he added to his mechanics. Amid sporadic attendance at voluntary offseason workouts, that improvement in his throwing motion is a byproduct of individual work in California with personal quarterback coach John Beck, who was with McDaniel in Washington in 2021. Listen, I love it. I absolutely love it. All right. With Tua Tagovailoa slimming down this offseason, McDaniel cleared up any misconception that he added weight last offseason to help avoid injury. Rather, last offseason was about becoming stronger. The team wants him to maintain strength while slimming down. With Tagovailoa and several other starters missing last week's open OTA, McDaniel didn't seem too concerned about them getting time together on the field. McDaniel said the players communicate well with him about their attendance for voluntary sessions, so he can always plan accordingly and get other players more practice reps. When there aren't guys attending practice, there are guys supremely benefiting from that, McDaniel said. People getting more reps haven't taken advantage of it. I'm happy to say we have had a lot of growth in what we're trying to do in practices. That said, McDaniel has not yet seen the wide receiver trio of Tyreek Hill, Jaylen Waddle, and OBJ on the field together since Beckham's signing. I'm not in a hurry to see that, he said. Having all 3 at the same time isn't necessarily a big deal to me. It's each and every individual, one of them understanding the offense. The Dolphins have 2 more OTAs closed to the media this week before a 3-day mandatory minicamp next week on June 4th, 5th, and 6th. So after that money clears up on June 1st, things get interesting with minicamp. Here's some observations from the Sun Sentinel. Tagovailoa's greater force driving deep throws was on display on a pair of deep 7-on-7 throws during Tuesday's practice. He threw a deep over-the-top touchdown to receiver Eric Izakama, expanding on a strong OTA session last week, and finished drills with a long touchdown dropped in perfectly to rookie Tajay Washington. Both came on plays starting at the opposing 35-yard line, as did another cross over the middle to River Craycraft, which found him in stride for yards after the catch in open field for another touchdown. The opening 7-on-7 portion drills was inside the red zone. Tagovailoa threw 4 more touchdowns in that period to Washington, Izakama, Durham Smythe, and Matthew Sexton. Dolphin safety Javon Holland wore the orange jersey Tuesday as a practice player of the day from Miami's last session last Thursday. Tuesday was a practice largely won by defense during 11-11 work, which Tagovailoa did not participate in. It was backup quarterbacks Mike White and Skylar Thompson getting those snaps. The defense held up strong on a number of runs to the outside, but Raheem Mostert broke off a decent gain running behind right tackle Austin Jackson. Mostert also took a red zone pass to the flat for a touchdown along the right sideline. Thompson hit tight end Tanner Connor up the seam for a sizable gain. There was a botched snap between Liam Eichenberg and Mike White at quarterback. Gotta love hearing that. Eichenberg said he's focused on doing the best he can at center until Aaron Brewer, who's working out on the side, joins team's drills. Eichenberg said at that point he would compete at guard. Players missing the voluntary session Tuesday included Hill, Waddle, Beckham, Devin A-Chain, Jonnu Smith, Taron Armstead, David Long Jr., Jalen Phillips, and Shaq Barrett. Jalen Ramsey and Kendall Fuller as well. And Bradley Chubb was seen watching drills. So, still lacking a lot of star power when it comes to these OTA sessions. That's a lot of guys that were out. That is a lot of guys that were out. Again, mandatory minicamp next week. We'll start getting more answers on which one of those are injured, which one of those guys were just it's voluntary. So I'm doing my thing, but I gotta say this: very, very, very encouraged by what we're seeing and reading and hearing about Eric Ezukanma. Very encouraged. This is a guy we all needed and wanted to step up, and we all saw the potential. It was just a matter of, can he stay healthy? And sure enough, he's making plays. He is making plays. I heard Channing Tindall had a strong day today. I mean, that's good, I heard Chop Robinson had a pretty strong day today too. So Nick Needham was out there making plays. Nick Needham talked about how Poyer is helping him in his cross training at safety. So a lot of encouraging stuff today, but let's keep the observations going because that's just the Sun Sentinel. Let's switch over to the Miami Herald, and this is what they saw today. No Tyreek Hill, no Jaylen Waddle or Odell Beckham, no problem. At least it wasn't for Tua Tagovailoa, who had success during Tuesday's OTA session in the very few reps the Miami Dolphins starting quarterback participated in. So we got a recurring theme. He impressed today. Tagovailoa's camp is in the midst of negotiating a long-term contract extension with the Dolphins. Only participated in Tuesday's 7-on-7 work with Miami's offense, sitting out all the 11-on-11 snaps. And this is what I told you he would do. This is exactly what I told you he would do. I told you the guys this. When I got back from vacation, I said, if anything, he's not going to hold out. He would hold in where he takes in on certain sessions, and then other sessions he sits back and watches. That's exactly what's happening. If Tua was signed, he probably would have competed in the 11-11s. He handled a couple of series during the red zone session at the very beginning of practice and went a full hour on the sideline before getting involved in the final 7-on-7 segment of practice, getting involved during the going-in area, scoring territory, which happened to start at the 35-yard line. Tagovailoa is beginning his fifth season as a Dolphins starting quarterback, carved up the Dolphins defense during the red zone work, and then in the late period, 3 of his 5 throws were for major gains, if not touchdowns. Tagovailoa found Eric Ezukanma wide open coming off a slant in the middle of the field, and the Dolphins' 2022 fourth-round pick scored a would-be touchdown. His next touchdown pass came on a shorter slant to River Craycroft, who out-sprinted Miami's entire secondary and ran it an extra 25 yards for a 35-yard touchdown. And on the practice's final pass, Tagovailoa threaded the needle along the left sideline for a teardrop reception to rookie receiver Tajay Washington, who caught the pass while going out of bounds 5 yards shy of the end zone. The other 2 passes during the final period were a check down and a deep pass that Ezukanma dropped. Listen, I said Malik making this roster is going to be a problem. I also said Tajay Washington, they're keeping 6 or 7. He's gonna be right in the midst of that, and I like seeing that, man. Defense has a dominant day. Zach Sealer participated in Tuesday's session. It was the first time the media got to watch the team's top defensive lineman this offseason. Sealer lined up all over Anthony Weaver's defensive front, working on multiple spots, as did most of Miami's new defensive linemen. Also participating in the OTA session, the media attended was Cam Smith, the Dolphins' 2023 second-round pick, who struggled to find playing time last season. Smith got a lot of OTA snaps because Ramsey and Kendall Fuller, the 2 projected starters on the boundary, are seemingly not participating in Miami's offseason work, which is voluntary. Channing Tindall continues to make OTA plays that hint he might be salvageable after 2 previous seasons of falling short of expectations. Tindall, who broke up a possible touchdown pass to Durham Smythe during Miami's early 7-on-7 period, has turned his play speed up a snap of the finger faster than it has been in the previous 2 seasons. The Dolphins had the linebackers bring in the pressure on certain plays during the 11-11 period, and Tyndall, the Dolphins' 2022 third-round pick, was spotted in the backfield, creating pressure on a handful of plays. Rookie pass rushers Chop Robinson and Mohamed Kamara each delivered a handful of plays where their rushes hurried the quarterbacks or produced a would-be sack. Robinson, who sat out the last practice session the media attended, showcased a quick first step that gave Miami's tackles problems. Both rookies are being thrown into the deep end because Jaylen Phillips, Bradley Chubb, Cameron Good are sidelined by significant injuries that might have them begin the 2024 season on Miami's PUP list. Grayson Murphy, an undrafted rookie from UCLA, deflected a screen pass leading to an incompletion during 11-11 period. Grayson Murphy making this team, I'm telling y'all. Mike White lost a quarterback to center exchange at safety. Javon Holland picked up 7 yards downfield and ran back for a would-be touchdown. So that might have been the Eichenberg one. Julian Hill dropped a goal line touchdown pass from White. It was flushed out of the pocket to his left. Nick Needham, who's being cross-trained to play safety this summer, made a tackle for a loss in the backfield on a run play, then celebrated with a two-step. Rookie receiver Jaquan Burton, a former Florida Atlantic standout, dropped a possible touchdown pass from Tagovailoa in the back of the end zone with Needham in coverage. Can't be dropping those, young buck. Can't be dropping those, young buck. So, man, really positive. Really positive. Mo Kamara, Chop Robinson making plays. Channing Tindall making plays. Man, you like to see this. And Grayson Murphy making plays. Fantastic. Man, and Izakama stepping up. Man, we need you to make that wide receiver 4 battle interesting, brother. Could we see a receiving core of Tyreek, Waddle, OBJ, Izakama, both Washingtons, and then either Berrios or Craycraft, with the other being the odd man out? Man, I'm telling you, this wide receiver battle looks like it's going to be one of the top storylines heading into the minicamp and also heading into training camp. I can't wait. I cannot wait to see how this all works out. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. All right. Now, here's some more observations. These are from the Palm Beach Post. Just going to try to give you guys as much as possible. This is what the Palm Beach Post had today. They said random observations from Tuesday's workout. Durham Smythe dove for a touchdown catch in 7-on-7 goal line drills. Tagovailoa found Izakama on a touchdown. Channing Tindall broke up a Tagovailoa pass intended for Malik Washington. A fumble on the exchange between Liam Eichenberg and Mike White. So there you go. We can get confirmation that the one Javon Holland returned was Eichenberg and White. Jaylen Wright also wore a camera on his helmet so coaches can spy Wright's view of plays. That's interesting. We didn't hear that in any of the other updates. Grayson Murphy sacked Skylar Thompson. So there you go. Grayson Murphy not only had a pass breakup, now we know he's sacked. Tyndall made another play to sack Thompson. River Craycraft caught a 30-yard touchdown, and Tagovailoa hit Tajay Washington with a TD over Isaiah Johnson to end the workout. And here's more players not spotted: Armstead, Achane, Isaiah Wynn, Bradley Chubb, Kohu, David Long, Ramsey, Jaylen Phillips, Kendall Fuller, Deshaun Hand, Cam Brown, Cam Good, Shaquille Barrett. Now, working with trainers, Berrios, Aaron Brewer, and Kader Kohu. Orange jersey was Holland. So there you go. They specified who wasn't spotted and who was working with trainers. But there you go. Now we learn Grayson Murphy also had a sack today. Not only a pass breakup, but he had a sack too. Man, that is big, big, big. Man, listen, I know it's OTAs. It's the Underwear Olympics. But hopefully these guys, when the pads come on, we need Grayson Murphy. We need Mo Kamara. We need Chop Robinson to continue translating this to when the pads come on. You know, it's nice to get, and same with Channing Tindall, especially because we need that depth. We don't want to rely on a guy like Duke Riley, Channing. You got all the tools in the shed to be a really good linebacker. It just got to come out all together up here. So, man, we need that like good things are happening. I'm more hyped about what we're seeing from the edges and the linebacker than Tua Tagovailoa today because I expect that from Tua. It's year 3 in this offense. It's year 3 with the same coaching staff. We were doing backflips last year because this was the first time Tua had 2 seasons of the same staff and same offense since like high school. Now we're getting into 3. We're in uncharted territory. And it's a very big positive that your head coach, I mean, we can show all the highlights and show all that stuff of Tua Tagovailoa like I did earlier today at OTAs. But when the coach is noticing the development, when the coach is noticing the growth from the offseason work he's putting in with 3D QB, that is when you get excited. I'm more excited about McDaniel saying he's noticing more drive on the football and how John Beck knows what's expected of a quarterback in this offense, so it's helping with the development of Tua as he works with them. I'm more excited about that than I am about a deep pass to Tajay Washington in the underwear Olympics. You know, that's more tangible to me when the coaching staff is noticing this. So, good stuff coming out of OTAs today. Tua Tagovailoa and his offseason work with 3D QB on display verbally with Mike McDaniel and visually at practice for the media because everyone was clearly impressed by Tua today. So, let's go. Good stuff, man. Thing I wanted to read here for you guys. Dolphins Cam Smith has no hard feelings towards Vic Fangio, calls limited opportunities in rookie season a learning experience. Miami Dolphins safety Von Holland already let his true feelings known about former defensive coordinator Vic Fangio. Holland at least always had his job secured through Fangio's lone season leading the Dolphins defense. Who might have more reason to have long-standing beef with Fangio after his departure as he fled to Philadelphia to become defensive coordinator of the Eagles was cornerback Cam Smith. He was held to a mere 20 defensive snaps last season as a rookie second-round pick under Fangio. As the Dolphins mutually parted way with Fangio earlier this offseason and went the route of the more player-friendly Anthony Weaver to lead the defense, Smith doesn't see it that way, though. This, even after tweeting an emoji of an unlocked lock the day of Miami split with Fangio to signify he will be free under a new coach. Really, quote, really just expressing myself, Smith said after Tuesday's OTA session, speaking to the media for the first time this offseason. Yeah, I didn't have the season I wanted. I didn't really get the opportunities that I wanted, but I mean, that's that. In the end, ain't nothing given in this league. Stuff happens, and I'm here, so feel like I'm free. It wasn't expected Smith would see more action as a rookie than top cornerbacks Jaylen Ramsey and Xavier Howard or Kader Coe, who came off a strong rookie season in 2022, but others to play more than Smith's 20 snaps included Eli Apple, who was signed in training camp after Ramsey's preseason knee injury, special teamer Justin Bethel, Perry Nickerson, and Nick Needham, who was coming off Achilles rehab. Even Calvin Joseph, who the Dolphins got in return for shipping Noah Benogany away to the Cowboys, had 21 snaps on defense, one more than Smith, before he was waived November 14th. And if you include Miami's playoff game against the Kansas City Chiefs, when Smith was a healthy and active, undrafted rookie cornerback Ethan Bonner got to 22 with his 11 snaps in the postseason. But Smith doesn't harp on being a spectator as much as he was. Quote, not really that bad, he said. I'm under 2 of the greats in the league, 2 of the best to ever do it under X and Jaylen. So it wasn't really a bad thing about it. I learned a lot from all of them. Eli, Justin Bethel, all of them. It was really a learning experience. I just went to school for a year. He also, through it all, takes positive from his time with Fangio. A lot of offensive side of the ball, understanding football for real, Smith said. He broke everything down. Yardage, what people do from the 40 to the 40, what people do from the 20 to 40. It was kind of making me understand the offensive side of the ball more, which will make it easier on the defense. Smith revealed the greater frustration came during training camp, as you could see how it was going for him under Fangio. Of course, you think about it certain times during games, but I wasn't really focused on it because when I did focus on it, it felt like I was losing my love for the game doing that, Smith said. His mother helped him get through it. Just kind of talking to her every day, coming to her, just tell her everything going on, Smith said. Just seeing it through. Can't see it now, but it's going to help you in the future. Now I'm here. Smith sees Weaver as a lot more laid back with Fangio, a traditional old coach. He's playing free this offseason as Weaver has offered him a clean slate. Really just saying, don't worry what happened last season, Smith said of his conversation with Weaver. I don't want to know what happened last season. Just come in and ball. An added benefit is that Smith feels the terminology of Weaver's defense is similar to what he played in college at South Carolina. One question that surrounded Smith last season was about his work ethic, whether that was something Fangio saw as lacking in not playing him. To anyone questioning it, Smith doesn't feel he needs to respond or show how hard he's training on social media. I don't record stuff. I don't post stuff on Instagram. I feel like that's for Sundays, so I really don't care what anybody says about work ethic or stuff like that. I know what I do. Smith is primarily a boundary cornerback, but he said he cross-trained himself at nickel last season to be prepared to contribute there if need be. He also feels physically stronger, able to stop receivers in press coverage. Listen, I had an update for the Patrons and the channel members, like last week, and I know the thoughts are high in that building and with Anthony Weaver on Cam Smith. The expectations are high, and the thoughts on the player themselves are high. No one in that building is down on Cam Smith. None. Not one person. Ramsey was high on him when he was, last year. He telling Fangio, play this guy over Eli Apple. X was doing the same. That's where some of the frustration with Fangio came from. He wasn't listening to the veterans who were telling him, this kid's going to give you more than a guy like Eli Apple. Listen, I had an early look at a secondary depth chart before I left for vacation, and Cam Smith, the expectations are high. That's all I'll say. All right. And you'd be surprised at who the staff is kind of eyeing sideways. You'd be shocked. Go sign up for Patreon or become a channel member and go into the community tab, and you'll see that update. All right. Continuing on, speaking of OTAs, the end of OTAs, the NFL Players Association is working to finalize a proposal to overhaul the offseason starting as soon as 2025, eliminating voluntary on-field work in the spring in favor of a longer training camp ramp-up, with players reporting in mid-June to early July. And then basically, Tom Pelissero says here, the idea would be to roll an extended OTA-style ramp-up, strength and conditioning, non-padded work, etc., straight into training camp without a 6-week break, de-escalation in between, which would be a major change. On top of this, remember, they want to add another week. They want to add another game. I can see this not going very well. I do not think this will go over very well with players at all. Go over 450 of you in the room. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new. I mean, that 6 weeks is time for these guys to decompress a little bit before. We already see. What do we see? We see veterans on the free agent market. They won't sign until deep into training camp because they don't want to go through the training camp regimen. A couple weeks into training camp, players regularly start complaining anyways that training camp is too long, right? They're talking about shortening the preseason because there's more risk of injury just to get into the season. I mean, this is going to turn into what? So what are we getting into? Longer training camp, less preseason games. And they want to take away a preseason game and add another game to the yearly schedule. So we're at what? 3 preseason games? They want to get down to 2, and they want to have an extra game added to the regular season. And then now on top of that, you want to make a longer training camp. So I could see this not going over very well at all. I got a real question for all of you in the chat. I wanna know in the chat right now. All right? I'll even put a poll. I'll even put a poll for all of you guys. All right? I want to know in the chat, do the Miami Dolphins have the best running back room in the NFL? I want to know right now before we get into this article. All right? I want to know your thoughts. All right? The poll is in the chat right now. All right? Do the Miami Dolphins have the best running back room in the NFL? All right? I want to know in the chat what you guys think. All right? So as you guys vote on that, all right, check this article out. And this is what's making me ask you guys this. All right? So PFF, they came out with running back rankings, the top 32 ahead of the 2024 season. Okay? Now, obviously number 1 is Christian McCaffrey. I get that. Baltimore, Derrick Henry, okay. All right. Nick Chubb, coming off an injury. They got him at number 4 still. Okay, Saquon with Philly. Brees with New York. Aaron Jones with Minnesota. By the way, the disrespect to Raheem Mostert's year last year is unbelievable. Josh Jacobs with Green Bay. Travis Etienne, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so we get to Raheem Mostert at 13, right? It says Raheem Mostert is aged like fine wine because of incredible speed, setting career highs across the board. In his second season with the Dolphins, he led the league in rushing touchdowns, 18, and rushed for 1,012 yards at 4.8 yards per carry, earning a career high 85.8 grade, 6th best grade in the NFL. Injuries have slowed Mostert in the past, but he's been more or less fully healthy for the past 2 years. He's finally showing the NFL just how good of a starting running back he can be thanks to that speed and vision. So we're at 13, right? So far, you've seen no team with 2 running backs on this list. All right, we can all agree on that. Now, you go past 13. You got Tony Pollard at 14. Isaiah Pacheco at 15. Kyron Williams at 16, which I think is disrespectful after the year he had. James Conner at 17. I mean, what are we talking about right now? And at 18, Devin Achane. We are the only team with 2 running backs on this list in the top 20. And Connor's, look at this. 3.93 yards after contact, plays second behind Achane. Achane carried the ball only 108 times in the regular season, but made every touch count. He led the NFL in yards per attempt at a lofty 7.5 yards per carry, and with an excellent 92.1 grade in his rookie season. The former third-round pick was nearly an automatic big play waiting to happen. No running back created more yards after contact per attempt than Achane. He created almost 5 yards after contact per attempt, 4.94. And despite the small workload, he had 13 rushes of 15-plus yards, tied for 6th in the NFL. Look at that. Think about that. PFF goes ahead and puts out their rankings. A total, they went 32, all right? And the Dolphins are the only team with 2 running backs in the top 20. And I'll do even one better. We added Jaylen Wright. We added another big play threat with big play speed. And a guy who you might be able to rely on come December, come January. When you add, Christian McCaffrey, you get no disagreement from me. He is the best running back in the NFL. But when you add in the fact that we've got Mostert, Achane, and Jaylen Wright, and even a healthy Jeff Wilson as number 4, is there a more complete running back room in the NFL right now? Ask yourself that. Listen, Christian McCaffrey could be number 1 by himself all day. You won't hear an argument from me. But when you're talking about most complete running back room, Mostert, Achane, Wright, and Jeff Wilson, it's not even close. And here's the reality. Achane and Mostert made the top 20 of that list. We're the only team with 2 in the top 20. We could be sitting here with 3 in the top 20 next year. That's real talk. So, man, that's impressive. That's impressive. Continuing on here, finally, I want to cover this because we got to talk about this notion. Chris Perkins, Dolphins might not get the same Tua if he plays on a 1-year deal. Here's another wrinkle to my thoughts on Miami Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa and his contract extension. I wonder whether Tua would play with the same zeal and aggression this season if he's on his 5th-year extension, which is basically a 1-year deal. I probably wouldn't. Few would. Seems natural to pull back a bit physically at select times in order to protect yourself or your future cash flow. Would you jeopardize a likely $200 million payday? I don't doubt Tua's integrity or competitiveness. I acknowledge his common sense. This is where the Dolphins' best interest clashes with reality. Another phase of that clash could surface with this week's 3 days voluntary team of OTAs. We'll see whether Tua fully participates, exposing himself to a small injury risk, or they comes up with a reason not to fully participate, thereby decreasing his injury risk and simultaneously making a statement about his contract situation. As a reminder, Tua missed at least 1 day of last week's OTAs while playing in a charity golf tournament for his college coach, former Alabama coach Nick Saban. We also know that Tua has opted to miss part of the voluntary offseason program while working with his private quarterback coach. And that's a good thing. He's working on his craft. Numerous players around the NFL, Pittsburgh defensive lineman Cam Hayward, Dallas wide receiver CeeDee Lamb, and Minnesota wide receiver Justin Jefferson among them are sitting out parts of their team's OTAs, presumably making statements about their contract situations. Regardless, I still think it's in the Dolphins' best interest to have Tua play this season on his 5th-year extension, thus proving he can stay reasonably healthy again and that he can take his game to another level. Take his game to another level after being the first Dolphins quarterback to make the Pro Bowl in 95 and lead the league in passing yards. This isn't about Tua. It's about resetting the quarterback market to a sensible standard. Because he says, my problem with a Tua contract extension or almost any quarterback extension, as I've written several times, is what percentage of the salary cap he takes. For the most part, I think quarterbacks taking 20% of the more salary cap, which is the current extension level, is ridiculous. All right, let's just stop here. I mean, you can go read that if you want. I mean, let's address this. Let's address a few things. Number one, it's not into his best interest for you not to get the best version of him this year if you don't extend him. Why? Because, like I've covered multiple times, year 1 in this offense, MVP conversation until he gets hurt. Year 2 in this offense, MVP conversation until what? Week 16? Week 17 against the Ravens? Right till the end of the season, basically. What's the next natural evolution of that? He finishes the conversation and he wins it. It's not into his best interest to not give you 110% this year, especially if you don't give him a contract. Why? Because why would he go out there and actively work against his payday? He wants to drive up his price. Why wouldn't he? Any one of us would. And we know our play is the only way to do that. So that's a dumb notion to begin with, okay? Like, let me just put that out there. That's a stupid notion, and that's not into his DNA. It doesn't even make sense for him business-wise and financially. The best business move and financial move is to do what Christian Wilkins did. Oh, you don't want to extend me? You want me to play on my 5th year? You want me to show you more sack production? Here you go. What did that end up with? Almost a $27 million a year from the Raiders. This guy plays at MVP level again. He's hitting 60 plus. Now let's talk about the percentage. All right? Because this is dumb, right? He goes into the 20%. All right? So, right now, as it stands, right, the salary cap is about $255 million, right? So, right now, if that contract kicked in this year, it would be 21.5%. He has an argument. Problem is, this is the 5th-year option. So that contract, if he signs it, doesn't kick in till next season. What happens next season? We're supposed to go up $30 million we're supposed to go up $30 million. Supposed to go up $30 million each year over the next 3 years minimum. All right? So, let's say he gets $55 million. All right? $55 million on a $285 cap. All right? Guess what, Perk? It's time to do some math, Perk. Because you know what happens? He's at 19.3% in year 1. Let's do even better. It goes up another $30 million in year 2 to $315, right? Okay? So this is year 2 of his contract when the numbers are kicking in. It's at 17.5%. Year 3, because it's going up another $30 million, right? Year 3, on a $345 million cap, all right? 15.9%, not even 16%. So this whole notion that Tua will take up 20% of the cap, the contract ain't kicking in this year. The contract kicks in next year. And as it stands at a 55, which isn't even the real money, I'm going by an annual average. The real money is going to probably be around 45 million-ish per year. So when that contract kicks in, it doesn't even kick in at 20%. It kicks in at 19.5%. Then it goes down to 17.5%. Then it goes down to 15.9% over 3 years. Like, all you got to do is some simple math here. I just don't understand where we're going with this. And you've been around Tua Tagovailoa long enough to know, what do you expect? He's going to go out there and give 80%? Not only will that affect you financially, because your play will dip, that's how you get hurt. That's how you get hurt, not taking it serious and holding back. So this whole notion that, like, I didn't even want to finish the article because that's how stupid it is. And it was already proven wrong. I mean, I told all y'all he's not going to probably do everything until the the extension's done. But he still participated today and he still wowed all these guys. I mean, you've been around this kid long enough, or you would think you've been around this kid long enough to know that's not in his DNA. When he does something, he attacks it head on 110%. Just watch him in the offseason. You don't even have to watch him during the season. Watch how he works in the offseason. He's one of the hardest workers in the room, league-wide. Never mind the Dolphins. When you talk about quarterbacks, Tua Tagovailoa is one of the hardest working quarterbacks in the NFL. That's why you've seen him take a step next year. And listen, I agree. He needs to take a next step. I agree. We all agree with that. But let's not act. But you know what pisses me off? I read that article, and the wording implies it's like he didn't take a step last year. Right? Like, that's what it comes off as. You know, oh, he needs to play on his 5th year so he can prove he can stay reasonably healthy again and that he can take his game to another level. Brother, the first year he stayed healthy, he led the league in passing. You know, you want him to play on his 5th year. That's fantastic. Okay, now he does take it to that next level. Now what? Y'all were bitching about $55 million. What are you going to say when it's $65 million? Because now we're getting into actually affecting the cap. Right? Because when that kicks in, let's say when it kicks in at 2025, right? When the cap goes up $30 million, you know, $65 million is about 22.8% of the cap in year 1. Year 2, you're dealing with about 20.5% of the cap. Year 3 is when you finally get under 20%. Where I just showed you, if you sign him at $55 million now, year 1, when that contract kicks in, it's 19.5%. Year 2, it's about 17.5%. Year 3, it's 15.9%. I mean, you don't got to be a mathematician to see how the numbers work here. Like, I'm just saying. Right? There were people out here who said, well, make Christian Wilkins play on his 5th year. Right? Now, because they wanted to see the sack production. I sat there and said, I ain't paying him $22+ million. Sorry, defensive tackle, are you crazy? And sure enough, what happened? Played on his 5th year, $27 million. We don't get out ahead of these contracts, so we never have good deals up against market value as it continues to rise. We wait till the last minute, and it bites us in the ass the whole time. Lock up Tua this offseason. With the cap going up $90 million over the next 3 years, him and Goff, these deals are going to be steals. Smash the like button. Subscribe if you're new. I appreciate each and every one of you coming through on this Tuesday. I will be live tomorrow with Ball Game and Richmond Webb, so be on the lookout for that. Over 440 of you in the room. Smash that like button. Thursday, I'll be live with Neil. This weekend, the money frees up. Next week is mandatory minicamp. So business is about to start picking up. And in June is when I'm going to do prepping y'all for training camp. Is when I'm going to be releasing my prospect profile series. I'm also going to get to work on contacting and gathering everyone for that content creator show I had you guys vote on a couple months ago. Now that we're in the slow season, I'm back from vacation, so a lot of stuff coming your way. Smash the like button. Subscribe if you're new. Appreciate each and every one of you. Fins up all day, every day, and I'll see y'all in the next one.